Hey friend, Jed here, and I wanted to show you today a 5-minute lesson on how to use bright and brilliant color mixed with very neutral colors and how those things, when you put them together, can really create a strong painting. I hope that this technique that I use and the way that you see this come together can help you, because one of the things that I've found is that when we love colors, sometimes our colors can get so far out there that they're not really tied to reality. And using desaturated colors, grays and neutral tones will actually help tie your paintings to reality, and you'll see me walk through this process in this painting. So let's jump into it right now. Okay, you can see that I'm painting on a used canvas, which is totally great. So if you have a canvas that you want to use but it's got paint on it, that's okay. Just make sure that you get rid of a little bit of the texture and you should be able to paint right over top. Now you can see that I'm putting down some brilliant color on the background. Now I need to do a couple coats and I dry it in between because I want it to be dry so that when I paint over the top, I'm really able to do it without ever messing that up. Now you can see some of that light is coming through, and I'm going to use that in the scene to create a brilliant kind of source of light. And I'm using an acrylic marker here so that I can draw out my scene with accuracy and then be able to paint over the top without putting paint where I really don't want it. Because I'm using the background like this is important for me. I next come in with some of the darks. I want to establish this contrast between the light and the dark right away so that I can see and evaluate the other colors. And so you see me putting in rocks and trees and vertical surfaces and things that would have a really strong contrast. And the colors that I'm using here are basically just black and a little bit of red, and I've mixed now in a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow. I'm creating some sand and some things that are a little bit colorful. And you'll see later that I come back and I actually neutralize those. I make them more gray. My colors are cadmium yellow light, cadmium red, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of phthalo blue. And then I have black and white and a neutral gray. And I'm grabbing a little straight edge here so that I can straighten up my tree a little bit. Wanted that to just look a little bit more not bent and weird at the top. But here's some color I'm bringing in. And for me, painting a lot is just experimentation and seeing what works. So I put down some brighter orange colors in there, but I'll later take those away. Then I move into this where this light is just shining down, right? We've got this effect of the sunlight shining on the water and creating a really brilliant effect and feel. And then I come in with the sky, and I'm using the sky color, which is primarily just white with a little bit of yellow in it, to shape the trees. And so everything that I'm doing is actually making it look more and more like trees, but I'm just using the sky to do that. And that's a tricky thing. It's a process that you have to really get used to, but it's fun and it can provide some really neat details and a nice effect. I begin, thinking about the values. I want to have a little shadow there on the edge of the sand as it enters the water, and then just a little bit of refining of shapes and making sure that things aren't distracting. I actually cover up a little bit there in the corner to just make sure that our eye stays inside of the picture and doesn't go out. And then you're going to see me start bringing in some of the grays, because I've realized, okay, that orange that was down there on the sand was just a little bit too much. It was distracting to me rather than helping the scene overall. And so we've got a little bit of reflected light on these rocks. And I'm just thinking about the overall picture now, the design. Oh, should I make a little change? So I think of the way that the water goes back, recedes, the sky coming down. I just kind of wanted to bring in a little bit more of a feel like you could see back a little bit further. And we were looking at some trees that were on some bigger rock islands and the sky and all that. And then I think about the contrast, and I want to bring in a little bit more dark, some rocks, and I bring in some of the dark into the trees again. Some of that is a little bit on the greener side. Some of it is a little bit more still with the red mixed in. But I'm I'm contrasting these values. So we have this really push and pull between the foreground and the background, where everything that's close to us really feels like it's close, and then the further away, it's really pushed back. The last thing I did was add a little bit of blue to the bottom right in the water, and I thought it accomplished what I wanted it to. Okay, so I hope that that was helpful for you in seeing that whole painting come together, seeing how the contrast of warms and neutrals, colorful things and grays, and that contrast between the foreground, which is much darker, and a very light background can really produce this beautiful effect. And also that technique of doing the light. Maybe that's something that you haven't seen before. I would love you to comment below. Let me know what you think of that technique. Let me know if you have any questions that you'd like to see me answer. And then like and subscribe to this channel. Love to be friends, and you can also come over to acrylicuniversity.com if you've got anything that you're wanting to grow in as an artist. We've got a whole full-on membership there. We've got lots of stuff for you to participate in, and I want you to know more than anything, you are loved and believed in. Have fun painting. You were made to be creative. I'll see you next time.